Folks, welcome into the show. It's Labor Day, Monday, September 4th, game week in the NFL, but an exciting weekend of a full slate of college football, Major League Baseball, my favorite time of the year. We've been talking about this, Jeff, the past 2 weeks, our favorite time. It's now right here, right now, the confluence of NCAA football and the NFL. Get ready, packed and underway. It is Labor Day here in the Northeast, Jeff, a little bit cooler. It's football weather, brother.
Yep, football starts, Donnie, this week. I know you're excited for the NFL season to begin. We got Eagles football games that actually matter. I feel like, Donnie, it's been years since we've saw an NFL game. I don't know. It just seems long to me, but it's back this week. I know people are excited. We got college football week 2 coming up. A lot going on.
Yeah, Labor Day has the thing I like about that. Same thing with Memorial Day, 4th of July. Major League Baseball likes to put on a full afternoon slate, which you have that today. Whether or not you actually want to watch some of these games or bet some of these games is certainly up to you. I know we're going to go over in just a few moments. New York, Baltimore, you got some good matchups. But then again, Jeff, 1 o'clock matchups with Kansas City and Detroit, Philadelphia and the New York Mets. Homer Bailey once again on the mound and taking money. So a lot to go over there in the Major League Baseball card. But, Jeff, I'd be remiss if we didn't go over, obviously, your thoughts on opening weekend in college football. We don't even have to start with yesterday. We're going to get to yesterday's doubleheader, unbelievable finishes in both games. But, Jeff, talk to me this weekend about college football. Thoughts on some things that happened, some big wins, some titanic losses historically. But get started, Jeff. Where do you want to go? It's your card today on that one, buddy.
Yeah, a lot happened, Donnie, and it was a fun weekend had by all, which, whether you won or lost. What did I do this weekend? I had a couple losses, had a couple wins. Premium plays have started out on a good level. I'm in the profit there. But, yeah, Donnie, before we get into that, I do want to shout out all the listeners. Welcome in if you're out there. Please hit the like button. Let us know you're out there. Say hello in the chat box. Obviously, Labor Day is one of those things where some people work, some people aren't. It really depends.
Drunk, some people are eating already. Yeah.
I know I'm still here at the shore, and I know next door here to me, they're having a little party. So, yeah, nice day to kind of relax and see what's hitting for. We got a big show, so say hello if you're out there. Yeah, Donnie, let's jump into it. As far as some of the things that I've noticed, first of which, right out of the gate, Texas. And, I know for me, I read that game totally wrong. I was really high on this group coming into the season. I thought, a new regime change, really knew everything at Texas. A new coach, new defensive coordinators, knew everything seemingly. A positive outlook for a team that, I think we all were excited for. But it goes back to the old notion, and I'm going to shout out Donnie, our friend Ryan, who comes on with us to talk fantasy at times, come on the late night on campus. He's always maintained to me, he said, I don't understand the love affair with Texas. They don't ever win anything. They had that 1 year in basketball, Kevin Durant, and they had the year with Vince Young, many years ago. But other than that, what has this program really done? And a really pathetic outcome the other day. I mean, you go up 7-0 on a pick six, and you're thinking, all right, here we go. Texas is getting defensive touchdowns. That's not good for Maryland. But I don't know if I was way off on Maryland being better than they are, and I thought they were, but listen, Texas just was embarrassing. I mean, you give up 263 yards on the ground. You give up 482 yards of offense and 51 points to Maryland. I mean, I can understand, a decently high-level offense, but Maryland came into the year with a brand-new quarterback, a coach that's known to play defense. I mean, what was Texas doing? An embarrassing start to the year for Tom Herman, and I think it's the same old Texas. That's what this team is, same old Texas.
Yeah, remember when they beat Notre Dame? Texas is back. I mean, fast forward a year.
And then they
just
shit all year.
And it's one thing, Jeff, if they would have lost that game, let's just say it was 31-30, 28-27, they missed the field goal at the end or came right down. You say, you know what? He's going to take some time to break it in. But all those athletes out there, I don't think there's too many people out there that circled that game going, Maryland's got a good shot to take them down in this one. You almost were looking for fireworks to open up. The athletes were there. They just needed some good coaching, which they haven't had for almost, a decade with Mac Brown foot fizzing out as well as Charlie Strong just awfully. So you know what? You finally got a motivator in there, a guy who's good on offense. And they couldn't stop a nosebleed on defense, man. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was really unbelievable. And offensively, look, they did what they normally do. I mean, they scored 41 points. It was just, you watch these teams and you think, coming into the year, they were so poor defensively last year, thinking, Well, they have to get it figured out this year. They'll turn it around. Good opponent out of the gate. First game, you give up 51 points. I mean, amazing stuff. But this was one game I had way off. And by the way, guys, do want to point this out. I know we're not usually on during the, this is kind of our first week we're on, all week. Keep in mind, every day from now on, we're on at 12:30 Eastern. I think, Donnie, people are still thinking we're on only Tuesdays. Maybe people don't know we're on the air.
Yeah, no, it's a Monday as well. So we're going to get right into the back of your cranium, so to speak, for the rest of the season, Monday through Friday. I know Wednesday's show is the roundtable, but it's identical at the same time. Me and Jeff will both be on every roundtable throughout this football season. So we'll have a lot of fun and certainly chat it out, but get used to it. We're going to be on each and every day, right on a prime time slot here for us.
And as far as going forward, I mean, you look at Texas. I mean, you get a home game against San Jose, you should win that one. I mean, there's no excuse there. But then you got to go to USC. You got to go to Iowa State, who's better. You got Kansas State, Oklahoma State. I mean, it's not going to get any easier for Texas. And this is one of those games where coming out of the gate, you had to play well. And just not a good outcome, not a good start to the Tom Herman era. And like I said, you're starting to hear that same old Texas is Texas. Donnie, we'd be remiss if we didn't get to these. Obviously, they were big stories. But, look, at the end of the day, when you're scheduling, you have to make sure you're preparing your team to go and play. I got to be honest. If you were laying 45 with UNLV, you deserve to probably lose. UNLV is not a program you should be laying 25 with, let alone 45. But I got to say, Howard, how about the MEAC, Donnie? Impressive stuff. I've always had a soft spot in my heart for the MEAC. It's one of my favorite conferences to watch in basketball. I've always enjoyed it. Cam Newton's little brother goes in. Donnie, they were plus 50,000 on the money line from what I've heard. They were paid $600,000 to go and play this game. And Donnie, I don't know if you heard this, but to make this all work, cheerleaders and the band had to go a day before and participate in various activities put on by the people that created the game to even get the guarantee for the game. How about that? So not only did they lose.
Where were the cheerleaders going there? I mean, nobody really pays attention to UNLV as it is football-wise.
Well, from what I understand, obviously I'm guessing some press events or something like that. But either way, according to the Washington Post, cheerleaders and the band had to go a day early to even get the guarantee for the game. And how about Mike London, Donnie? Not a guy that had a lot of success with Virginia and some other stops, but goes to Howard. And, I've always had soft spots for some of these teams. Really good effort from Howard. And they get a big win for a small little program, and they do it historically. Biggest upset point spread-wise ever. How about Howard, the Bison?
Yeah, loved it. I mean, I like when I see massive, massive upsets, and we can go right over another one there, Jeff, with the Liberty Flames going in the beat up on Baylor. As we saw, was it Joey Galloway said they're going to win the Big 12 this year. I don't know what the talent, and again, it's a regime change, it's a culture change. They were completely shocked to the core with their head coach last year. Everybody got let go. Jim Grobe came in to hold it together. Not too sure how you can actually recruit in that atmosphere. But again, another Temple coach leaving a comfortable situation to try to step into that big pond and completely outclassed right away. To me, I like Matt Rule. But when you're under sanctions and now you have that stigma down there, it doesn't matter if you got a 5, 6, or 7-year deal for all that money, Jeff. That's big-time college football. You go a year or two and you get smacked around, you're not getting year 3, 4, and 5 because you're a good guy. You better win and win right away, and that's an awful look. And does it get any better for them, Jeff, as the season goes on?
No, because these are guarantee games. These are games that you have to win. Donnie, to me, I think this was the biggest disgrace of the weekend. You can't get any worse than this. If you're UNLV, no one expects you to win. You're not a good football program. I think UNLV is better than normal usually, but that's not saying much. They're not a team that normally is very good. And they didn't play bad offensively. That was the thing. I mean, Armani Rogers was good. UNLV was fine on that level, but defensively they couldn't get any stops. But Liberty beating Baylor. I mean, Baylor's a big football program. Baylor's a team that we expect to pound these kind of teams. And look, Matt Rule, I questioned that move. Look, I get it's all about money for a lot of these guys and that kind of thing. But some judge you have to say, you know what, I'm going to just stay away from that job. I mean, I think Matt Rule is unfortunately one of those guys that says, you know what, I think I'm a great coach, and I'm going to do whatever I can to get one of those jobs where I'm going to look like a genius if I figure this all out. The problem is for Matt, it's bigger than football. Baylor, that Art Briles and that regime put them in a terrible spot going forward. And, Donnie, I actually watched a lot of this game. Baylor didn't, but again, Baylor played good offensively. They did always what they normally do. A new Solomon, the new quarterback, the Arizona guy, played pretty well, beat out Zach Smith for the job. They played well. But, Donnie, you gave up 447 passing yards to the Liberty Flames. And by the way, you know what made me really sick about this game is that continuously the same guy just burned Baylor. This Antonio Calvi, I think his name was. This just crushed them. I mean, even the announcers were saying everyone knows where they're going with the football, and they couldn't stop it. This is a team in Baylor who is in trouble. This is a program that really has to take a hard look in the mirror, not only on the field but off it. This is the kind of game that really sets you back deep. I mean, I don't know how you can kind of recover from something like this if you're a Baylor. They already have problems. You think could pound them by losing to Liberty outright? I believe at home. I mean, that can't happen. I mean, that's amazing. That is so pathetic that I don't even know what to say. I didn't hear Matt Rule's comments at the game. I have to listen to them. But, yeah, the Calvi kid was just destroying them. I don't know what went on there. But, yeah, shout out to Howard and Liberty, not too far from each other. Washington, Virginia. Shout out to the Mid-Atlantic, Donnie, putting on the West Coast and in the Middle America. Donnie, quickly, before we get into the rest of the football card, a lot went on over the weekend.
Yeah.
Do you have any baseball breakdowns that you want?
Yeah, we'll get to those later in the show. There's a couple games you want to look at. Obviously, these 1 o'clock games that are starting up here. Junis and Lewicki. Good luck with that one, whatever way you're going to lean. Again, the September call-ups, I mean, you expand your rosters by 15. You don't even know the pitchers coming in from the bullpen. Right now, in certain situations, I would be leaning more totals than actual sides because you're looking at two trash can ball clubs out there with Kansas City, Detroit. Good luck, whoever you want. Or if you want to lay 160 on the road with Kansas City the way they've been playing lately, you got Philadelphia and the New York Mets about to get underway. Leiter versus Montero. The Mets running out again. Maybe the single most embarrassing offensive 1 through 8 that I've ever seen in my lifetime in Major League Baseball. If you want to go ahead and bet that, they're actually a favorite at -119. Homer Bailey's on the mound, Jeff. We took a joke, catching some. Actually, he's not catching any dollars anymore, so to speak, versus Anderson and Milwaukee. That's 80%. The one game I would be interested in, Jeff, is Dylan Bundy seemed to turn it around for Baltimore. Baltimore with a nice extra inning win yesterday. Still trying to fight for that wild card spot. Big spot for the New York Yankees with Montgomery. 135 looks like across the board that you can get the home team Baltimore there. I think that one, I mean, both of these teams can hit, Jeff. It's a day game, but both have pretty good bullpens. Maybe would lean towards the under 9.5, but I haven't taken a look yet at those 4 o'clock or later games, waiting for some lineups to come out. But those early games today, I mean, outside of that Yankees and Baltimore game, good luck. It's just complete trash, and you have no idea which way they're going to go in any one of those games, so just tread lightly on those, I would say.
Yeah, I see Artie Lewicki's making his Major League debut. Lewicki, a pretty heralded prospect in Tigers' front there. And here's the thing about these kids coming in to make their starts today. First of all, normally they're pretty good. Normally they're pretty heralded. Second of all, they're making a case for next year. They're making a case to have a leg up with spring training, compete for a job in 2018. Obviously, you can't continue to go with the same old people in Detroit. Lewicki's a guy that's going to come in here and try to show that he belongs. As far as the game, though, I wouldn't really want to lay 155 with the Royals the way they've played. And look, I know Detroit's lineup.
I mean, look at Detroit's lineup: Kinsler, Presley, Castellanos, Navarro, McCann, Candelario, Matuk, Roman, and Iglesias. It's just awfulness is the best word to say.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just saying that I think from a Lewicki standpoint, just remember that. I mean, he is a heralded guy. Maybe he'll take that advantage today. The one game, Donnie, interesting, Yankees, Baltimore. Meredith Marakovich just reported that the Yankees didn't get into Baltimore to the hotel till 3 o'clock in the morning, I believe. There's no batting practice today. They're kind of in a tough spot here. I would consider the Orioles at home here. I like them at home. Bundy's the only Oriole pitcher that I really trust at a high level. Montgomery, a guy that's been in and out of the rotation as far as they've taken him back to Scranton Wilkes-Barre. They've kept him up, moved him down. I think Baltimore's in a pretty good spot in this game. I don't have much I haven't looked at baseball in a couple of days, but I do know from following the Yankees that they had obviously had to travel and got in late, and there's been a kind
Yeah,
of
man, but I mean, again, Baltimore, I mean, you can't go wrong with Baltimore at home. If you're right, if they can get starting pitching through 5 innings, the bullpen is pretty sound. And again, if you look at their 1 through 9, Jeff, when they have an A lineup, which they do today, I mean, I do like to poke fun at Trumbo and Davis because they're just pathetic situational hitters, but they do have a chance every once in a while to get a hold of a baseball and drive one out of the park. I mean, Beckham, Machado, Scope, Jones, Mancini, Trumbo, Davis, Castillo, Ricard. It's a really good hitting lineup that can get you out of a lot of danger. And if you're down in games like they were yesterday, early 3-0 deficit, they can hit their way back into the ball game. So I can't disagree if you're going to take Baltimore at home. We've talked about them throughout the season and still holding up with decent numbers at home as well.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'd look at Baltimore. They're a team that I would definitely consider today if I was to bet.
Yeah, we got just to put a bow on, I guess, so to speak, Major League Baseball. Not much early that I like. There's a couple shots I want to see some lineups for a little bit later. The Toronto-Boston game with Happ and Porcello. I believe the last time they faced off, they did duel it out through 5 or 6 innings. I think that game was maybe 1-1 in the 7th inning before Boston broke that game open. Obviously, Toronto struggles with bullpen work. But also, Jeff, your boy Barrios is on the mound today versus Tampa Bay. Interesting line. Barrios is catching about a +17, +113, depending on where you're getting that lineup. But we know Tampa Bay is a little bit tougher at home. And your boy tonight, Jeff, Cash Cashner, is going to take the mound in rotation, 979, 980 versus R.A. Dickey. A nice total of 9.5. Looks like a slight favorite here, Jeff, again to R.A. Dickey. Nobody wants to back Cashner, Jeff.
No, they hate Cashner. He's the most improved player in the league. I don't know why people don't like him, but yeah, I mean, I might have to look into that. Yankees haven't won a series in Baltimore since 2013. Good stuff, this thing we do. That's something to point out. Yeah, I think they start out with a loss tonight. Today. I really do. I think Bundy's a guy you trust. Bundy's a guy that you want to back, and
yeah,
they're
Baltimore
very good
also, Jeff, heavily right-handed lineup going against a lefty in Montgomery. The one thing I like about this game overall is you're going to have a nice bullpen battle as it goes down technically on paper. So one of these teams that has that lead, Jeff, 2-1, maybe 2-0, or a run or two lead after 5 innings, probably is a good shot to hold on to that one. But again, can't ever keep out those bats for Baltimore. They're always going to be in the game.
Sure. And we will I'll break down the Georgia Tech-Tennessee game here in a little bit. Let's get back to a little the rest of the card here and kind of what we saw. I do want to get back to Friday night, Donnie, which if you had Navy Florida Atlantic, shouts to you for sticking through it. It was kind of one of those rain delay baseball games almost. Didn't end up getting back going until about 1 o'clock Eastern a.m. I thought it was, again, though, I mean, got to thank – I'm not really a big Lane Kiffin guy ever, but, Lane Kiffin doesn't want to throw in the towel, Donnie. I understand where he's coming from, I guess, in a way. I mean, you hit that 2-point conversion. You never know what happens in college football. We've seen that. I mean, tell Texas A&M UCLA to just throw in the towel at the end of a third. I mean, you can't do it. You got to play the game out. He played the game out, though. Here's the problem, though, with playing it out with Navy. When you're down 20 points, it's virtually impossible to come back. They're just electric at sitting on the ball, running the football, and bleeding a ton of clock, Donnie. I mean, that's what this team does. I love Navy. I love this team. I love them year after year. I fucking love Navy. Let me say it again. I love Navy. Thank you for your generous, work towards football, school, and protecting our country. Shout out to Navy, Don.
No, absolutely, Jeff. And also guiding forward a little bit, I like to look at the smaller conferences, see how they did on the come up, so to speak. How about the valiant effort, Jeff, of Western Michigan losing a lot of talent, coaching staff, and going into play USC? And correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, I was watching this game in the 4th quarter or late 3rd quarter. Western Michigan had the lead in that ball game. And I believe it was even 35-35 with like 5 or 6 minutes to go. No,
they were really good, Western Michigan. Yeah. They're a team that I went and grabbed. I grabbed the big number there. And look, I think people read way too much into Fleck leaving. Fleck leaving clearly was a hurt for them. I mean, that was something that was going to hurt. But the guy coming in, Tim Lester, was Donnie, a career Western Michigan guy. He played quarterback there. He was actually in the running to get the job when Fleck got it. This is his career job, and this is something that he's really instituted culture all year. And they still have some guys there that are really good football players. Darius Phillips,
stacked at running back now.
Yeah, they're running. Yeah, correct. But yeah, I didn't really think it would hurt them much. They're still a team that has a pretty good defense. I know, they didn't really show it, but they were going to hang. That's what Western Michigan does. USC is a team that, we got to see where we're at with this team because year after year they get the best talent, they're the best.
Reading the press clippings in the offseason, yep, all that, yeah.
So for me, I'll wait. Another guy that I think read the press clippings was Josh Allen. He wasn't very good against Wyoming.
Right.
2 picks, 23 for 40. And shout out to Iowa. Shout out to Kirk Ferentz, too. Every year, Donnie. I mean, does he ever have the best offense? No. I mean,
no. And I even tweeted out on Saturday. I mean, they play football like it's still 1955.
Big they don't care
football. But again, maybe it's not the flashiest thing in the world,
right?
But it works for them because, hey, let's just go up tempo and 5 wide out. Now you're getting blasted. They know exactly what type of program they are, the exact type of kids to get, and that's why they're competitive every year.
No, and they're really impressive. They did some really good things on Saturday, and like you said, I mean, you look at the quarterbacks over the years, Rudock and Beathard and just
same guys every year.
Yeah, and it's like you come into the year, they have a pretty good running game, but you look at their secondary, they lost Desmond King, they lost guys that really were big points of their defense, but Josie Jewell, one of the really underrated players in the Big Ten on the defensive side, they just come in every year and really do some good things. I like what Ferentz has done there. He's kind of established that ground and pound culture at Iowa, and they get those big, kind of farm kids. And I'll tell you what, Donnie, my parents live in the woods. They live out, like I've told you, in Lancaster County, and I remember, when I was younger, I remember some of the kids that I used to meet down there on farms and stuff that, their whole life was work. And you can't get a stronger motherfucker than them kids. I mean, big kids. I mean, just
big corn-fed kids.
Yeah,
man.
well fed. They're out there lifting hay bales and picking tobacco and all. I mean, just my dad grew up that way. So I mean, he kind of always mentioned to me about that. Yeah, they're tough kids, man. And you get them playing football. They're mean. They don't give a shit. And they play hard. So nice shout out to Iowa. They go in and beat Wyoming, cover the number as well. I think a lot of people grabbed this number. Donnie, how about James Madison? They beat East Carolina. And
don't call it an upset, right? Don't call it an upset.
No, I don't call it an upset because
Mine's 7.
Yeah, it went down to like a pick'em towards game time. But I told you guys all week. I mean, this was a game. James
Wait,
Madison,
it opened up at 7 and went to a pick'em. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was down to like 1 or 2 by game time. Yeah.
So much for the steam, huh?
Yeah, I listen. I told you James Madison was a team that you got to look out for. I think some people, when they see these added games, they kind of just think, well, I'm just going to – this is an automatic win. I said I thought East Carolina was a 1 or 2 win team this year. I thought they were a really poor football program. And James Madison is a team that will challenge to win the FCS this year. They're a really good mid-major program. And this was easy the whole way through. It really wasn't ever in doubt. Very solid win for the Dukes here. Donnie, a couple other ones. South Florida, another questionable performance.
Yeah, you texted. Wasn't even checking that game out.
I had
to send me the text to check it out, and I'm literally looking at that saying, did they have like 7 points late third quarter at one point?
Yeah, they did. I had South Florida here, and I used game 1 as kind of a drawing board to say, you know what, they're at home here. Stony Brook is a team that if you do and understand and know, they're a team that they remind me kind of an Iowa. That's kind of what they are. They're not a good offensive team. They really just try to peel their ears back and defend, play defense, and that's exactly what they did. They weren't unbelievable or anything on Saturday, but they kept the game close. Really questionable stuff early on from the Charlie Strong group. And I look at this team, Donnie, and I say to myself, we all anointed them, and I have them at over 10 wins. It's one of the biggest bets I've made this year, and I think they'll get there. But I think we have to point out, if their schedule was tougher, I really wouldn't believe much in this team because other than Quentin Flowers, what do they really have there? I mean, can other than us, can you name a high-level skill position player they have?
I don't know if you're gonna be able to cash in that Heisman Trophy ticket for Quentin Flowers right about now.
No, I'm glad. Yeah, that was the problem. You don't have a lot of big game opportunities to do it in. He'll put up numbers this year. That's what he's going to do. But I wouldn't say he's finished. What do you mean? He's 2-0. What do you finished?
And their schedule is really technically, if you look at it, not that hard. So they're going to have
they're
a good
play.
Right?
Yeah, they're gonna play. They're gonna play these games all year. I thought another impressive game, and it was kind of overshadowed by Michigan and some of the other games at this time slot. But Georgia was really impressive. I thought, I looked at App State and I thought, you know what, I think, and I took them. I thought this was team App State that really would kind of strike the fear in a team like this's eyes. I don't know that Georgia was a team that warranted laying like 2 touchdowns week 1, but even without Eason, I mean, Chubb was really good. The backup came in and did some good things. That defense was really good. And this might be a team, Donnie, with Georgia that this might be the hype team we've looked for with Georgia. Defensively, they were really good. I mean, App State's a team that can move the ball. Impressive win for Georgia this weekend.
Yeah, watch that. Interesting. Now, losing the starting quarterback, I believe Eason's going to be out for the Notre Dame game. So we'll see how they go on the road, and that's going to read and react. Because I know a lot of people, especially in the chat box, saying, how does Notre Dame open up a favorite? Well, I mean, it's not that hard to go on the road without your quarterback, in that situation. Again, Jeff, segueing over, talking about a game, I mean, we're going to hit a lot of those up, but, quarterbacks that get hurt. How about DeAndre Francois, Florida State, getting hurt late in that game, which is quite a shame because the kid is tough as nails. You saw him catching beatdown after beatdown after beatdown last year. But now, I mean, I joke a lot to me. And again, I went back and forth with a lot of people, Jeff. Without Dalvin Cook to bail Jimbo Fisher's ass out repeatedly, I'm very interested to see what that offense is going to look like. You can call him a guru all you want. But Dalvin Cook, when you're down 7 points on your own 10-yard line, can go 90 yards at any time. You now don't have that player anymore. Now you lost your quarterback. I don't think anybody's going to question how talented Florida State is on defense because they are. But now I want to see what that offense is going to provide now that you back up against it a little bit here.
Yeah, and you're totally right there. You had that kind of safety valve, and you could say, well, I guess if we need some big yards, just get Dalvin involved. He'll get them. You don't have that anymore. Cam Akers is a freshman. He'll be really good, but he's not ready right now. Jock Patrick's a decent player, but he's not Dalvin Cook anywhere near him. And now you have a backup quarterback coming in. Really tough. I mean, Florida State, yet again, another tough season to start the season. I mean, last year, so many big, so exciting last year. A lot of people were high on them, including myself. This year, another really tough thing to open the season. You lose Francois, who I was really excited for this season. You got a good defense. You got one of the better defensive players in Derwin James, a good defensive line. Real shame if you're a Seminole fan, but
that's just gonna pave the way. You can just, I mean, to me, you can just take that pencil out right now, Jeff, and put the ACC in the corner for Clemson, and they're gonna take one of those 4 spots to me coming up in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. I mean, they beat Kent State. Who cares?
Let's talk about that game a little bit. Now,
yeah, I know what you're going to say here. It was pathetic.
Now, here's what, if we're on the chat box, like I thought over 6.5 would have been a play because just looking at the game, it actually played out exactly the way I thought it would. Clemson's much stronger team, going to beat them down. They're going to have their 4-string guys in by late third quarter. But let me just understand something here. I know the head coach 2 weeks ago took a leave of absence for medical. But if you're a college football team, a college football program, you're going into one of those games. It's a showcase game for your school. Your kids are excited. They circle on the map. Like I remember, if I ever got to play in a big type of environment and a team that's way better, you want to show up and show out. Doesn't matter if you get beat, Jeff, 50-14. You want to be that guy in the fourth quarter that scores a touchdown at Clemson. The coach, and again, I haven't done much research. I know Alan Moff, I believe his name is, covers as a beat writer for Kent State. Didn't see any articles put out. But I want to know I don't even want to say the game plan. What was the mindset going in? Was it literally huddling up before the game, heading out to Death Valley, saying, you know what, guys? I am so scared you guys are going to get hurt out there and embarrassed. I don't even want to try. I tried to contact Dabo Swinney to get a running clock throughout the entire game. We just want to take this paycheck. And I know you guys are 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old. I'm really, really scared you guys are going to get hurt out there, and you might not be able to play the rest of the year because they're going to beat you so bad. They're big, scary, mean monsters out there. 35 points in that ball game, early third quarter. You're running every single play up the middle and are not throwing a single pass. I mean, it's one thing to get beat down. Like you watch some of these smaller teams, like, go in the bigger, get beat 75-0, but they're running a full offense. This almost looked like, Jeff, they came into this ball game and were saying, or maybe the player said, Coach, I watched all film. I'm so scared of this team. I mean, please don't make me play in this game. That's what it appeared to me, honest to God, Jeff.
Yeah, it was a pathetic effort. I mean, you take your quarterback out, in the middle of the first quarter. I'm not sure what thinking pattern in the game was. I mean, you got to be fired up to go play in a game like this. I don't know. That's Kent State.
Look, yes, that's the whole point. Like, you spent your whole offseason circling your calendar saying, oh my God, we're going to play the national champions in their house in front of 90,000. I can't, you know what? If I beat one of these guys deep, I'm going to have a memory for life. If I score a touchdown or make a big play, it's going to be a memory for life. They look like they were scared to death, and the NCAA should step in and say, Kent State, you are never allowed to play outside of your conference or even play another Power 5 team again.
Yeah, no, pathetic stuff. I don't know what they were doing. I actually took them plus 38.5. I actually had 3 losers on my Saturday show and 2 winners. The 2 winners were good. I mean, Texas Tech fucking killed Eastern Washington and Western Michigan. But yeah, this is another one of my 3 losers. Yeah, I don't know what the thinking pattern was here. And when they did that, I felt like, you know what? There's my bet. And this is the scary part. Could Kent State put 10 points on the board? They could have put 20 on the board and wouldn't have covered here. Yeah, really pathetic stuff. I don't know what the thinking pattern in this game was, but that's Kent State football for you. Donnie, I also want to point something out.
Mm-hmm.
I said this, and we'll get into last night's game as well and break down tonight's also. I've said it on my breakdowns with this with SBR, and it was overshadowed because no one really cares about them right now because of some of the state of their football program. But Ole Miss crushed South Alabama this weekend, and Shea Patterson and that offense were fantastic. Keep a lookout for that team. I'm just going to say that. That kid is really good, and I'm going to keep talking about him because I think he's impressive and he needs to be talked about. Shea Patterson at Ole Miss will be back at some point.
By the way, Jeff, I'd like to get on a nice little rant. I mean, you know how you get back in the football season, you get back in the football mode, college football, NFL's on the docket. Mm-hmm. I had to re-indoctrinate myself to remember how long college football games are, how many commercials there are, and how long halftime is.
Oh, halftime's too long. That's always been a problem.
Why? I mean, it's tradition. Maybe back in the day in like 1920 where half the crowd showed up because they wanted to see the band. But there's a time and a place for that now. But also, Jeff, again, getting back into how bad college football place kickers are, man. The point of going for a 40-yard plus field goal in college football, I'd rather punt the football. You know, I used to get mad and be like, hey, he's punting from the 30 again. I'd rather punt than kick a field goal. Why not just go for it every single time unless it's late in the game? Like we always argue about the bunt situation, time, place, score. You don't want to really bunt in the second inning, but maybe in the bottom of the 8th, top of the 9th, you want to do it. How about we just stop kicking field goals altogether with these bums? Case in point, Jeff, the Northern Illinois game, right? You're coming down to the wire. You got a kid coming out. His only job is to kick field goals. It's like a 36-yarder. Jeff, he hit the crossbar, come up short on that. I mean, get these guys out of the game.
It was like a 38-yard field goal.
He missed it short.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I saw that. Yeah. No, there's 2 things in college football. If I was a coach, I'd never do. One is kick field goals. I would never kick field goals because they're bad.
Who was the kid? Was it Sly for Virginia Tech? Who's a really good
yeah.
He blew 2 easy field goals last
night.
I
don't trust college kickers. I don't. I would
if you remember when I was growing up, Jeff, back in the day, the field goals were much, much wider in college. So I guess there was a little bit more, liberalness to the kicks because it was easier to make them. But now that they've tightened them up, man, these college kids just embarrass themselves weekly. And Alabama, Jeff, Saban can just put his finger on the best athletes in the country, but somehow can't put his finger on a good kicker year after year after year after year.
Oh, I know. It's amazing. He gets the best talent in the world, but he can't get a kicker. By the way, you've seen Friday Night Lights, Donnie, the movie?
Oh, yeah, sure.
The Dallas Carter coach, he never kicked. He just went for 2. And that's the kind of coach I would be. I would just keep it moving, keep going. And you know what, Donnie? This is another thing I would never do in college football. I would never run the football either because you have the slant every fucking play wide at your disposal. I don't know if you saw that. You saw what Texas A&M did first 5 plays of the game? Yeah. Just through that little kind of cross.
Yeah, same thing with West Virginia. The Sills kid, every single time he ran a slant, he was wide open. You're right.
Every play it works. I'd never run. I might run 4 or 5 times a game. That's it. I'd never run.
Or like a design quarterback run, which they like to do. You're right. Yeah, no, it's a college football. unless you're Iowa again, where that's the only way you can win, and you're Army or Navy, and that's just the way
Oh,
you have
sure.
to
If
gain
you're
your
a triple
advantage. I get it, but you're right about that, man. Some of these kids just, I mean, you have gunslingers all over the field, 5-star wideouts. You're right. Because you're one tackle away or a bad busted coverage, which happens quite a bit in college football, from just housing it. So I tend to agree with you in some situations like that, yes.
Yeah, someone's asking about, are we going to cover baseball? We did. We don't have much on it. I mean,
Yeah,
she's about it.
Again, on that question there on this show, I mean, we like to go over it. On Mondays, it's going to be heavily recapped. Sure. I mean, there's baseball cards out there, which football season has started. We'll get into some of those baseball games. You already did a little bit earlier, but Monday is going to be heavily recap and looking forward. As we go on those, Jeff, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday show, those midweek ones, they're going to really take center stage for baseball and what's happening that night. But Mondays are fun, and especially, Jeff, when the NFL starts. I mean, we're going to be on Monday afternoon going over college and NFL. We'll get to some baseball stuff and break it down, but primarily in football season, it's really what's going to carry the card here for us.
Yeah, no, exactly. I do want to talk about last night's shenanigans with UCLA and Texas A&M. I was, if you follow me on Twitter, as you saw, I had Texas A&M plus the points, and I really strongly considered even taking the money line there. I thought it was a toss-up kind of game. I thought Texas A&M had a bit of an edge, but I went with the 5.5. I could have got a better number. I went to 7 by game time, and either way, but. So I'm watching the game, Donnie. I think it's halftime. It's 38-10, and I'm thinking to myself, I really can't sit here. I can't sit here the rest of the night. I got to go do something. So I called one of my boys in Margate. He was busy. So I'm like, you know what? I'll go play poker. So I go to the Trop. I sit down, and there's a TV right in front of me. I asked the floor guy, I said, yo, can you put on the UCLA A&M game? He says, yeah, I got you. It never gets on. So, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, you know what? Why do I even want to – I don't even care because they're winning so big. It's like whatever. So I had the Yankees game on in front of me, and they're up 9-1. And I keep looking at the bottom line, and I keep seeing score alert. And I see 44-24, and I'm thinking, wow, I mean, there's only like 8 minutes left, and they can't come back. I keep seeing more score updates, more updates. And then it's a 6-point game, and I said to the kid at my table, I said, I can't believe it. They're going to blow this game. They were up 38-10 at one point. So I go and I find a TV that has the game on it, and there's a regular that I know at the Trop. He played at Virginia Tech. He was a receiver there for a couple years.
Give me the name. Old school? New school?
You know what? He's one of those guys. I've never asked his name, honestly. Yeah. I see him from time to time. He tells
white guy, brother, because they have some, some white guys down there.
He's a black dude. He's big kid too. He's always given me some good stories, but I didn't ask for his name because I don't, I'm not gonna blow up and open spot like that. But
a couple local kids down there that sure way have gone to Virginia Tech over the years.
Sure. Yeah. And he always, he's always there, and we play at the table from time to time, and he's a good kid. He always gives good stories and stuff. Yep. And he's sitting there watching Virginia Tech game next to the TV of mine, and he says to me, he goes, did you bet on Texas A&M? I said, yeah, I got the points. He goes, good, you don't have them on the money line. I said, why, you think they're going to come back? He goes, yeah. He goes, they're not going to stop Rosen on this drive. I said, you know what? You're fucking totally right. And I got to ask, I mean, if you're an Aggie fan, which, by the way, one of the worst losses I've ever seen, really had shades of some of the Bahamas Bowls and those kind of games.
Unbelievable. 34? 44-10, was it? 30,
yeah,
34.
I mean, they were up 34 points, like I think at the end of the third quarter, I think, or around there. I heard some people are calling out Kevin Sumlin, saying he needs to be fired. I can't disagree with it. I can't. I mean, that's the entire Kevin Sumlin era. That's who they are.
And this wasn't an all-time team, Jeff. When we were talking about, I guess, underway last night, 2 unranked teams. It's not like you said we had a 35-point lead to one of the 2001 Hurricanes, and boy, God, they just came back and beat us. They're one of the amazing teams. I mean, this was a UCLA team that looked as bad as you could look in a half. They weren't even competitive in the first half. You almost thought that they were going to be like, hey, you know what? Moore going to come and say, hey, Josh, look, man, if we're going to compete at all this year, I got to pull you out of this game. Like, they're going to kill you out there. And all of a sudden, that switch went on, and it was amazing to watch. And in college football, momentum in a football game is just outrageous, where kids on the other side start tightening up. They don't know what to do. And even in the last drive of the game, where Texas A&M needed 1 first down, you have a freshman quarterback last night. throwing passes that looked like he was scared to death to let that ball go.
Well,
like, why would we just line up and try to run the ball, force UCLA to use their timeouts? If you got a first down, the game was over. I was just shocked at their play call.
Yeah, and look, and when Starkel went out, I mean, that was really the change in the game. I mean, yeah, he was running the offense well. I mean, they were really putting him in great positions. And when he went out, Noel Mazzoni had really no idea what to do, it seemed like. And look, defensively, for as heralded as they were in the first half, I mean, I thought they were really good. I mean, their run defense is good. Yeah, they were causing havoc, big hits, playing well. And then they just – I don't know what happened in the second half. It was just – it was amazing. But, yeah, I mean – that's what happens. Sometimes you have to be ready for when your quarterback goes out. You have to be able to step up and come in, and they melted under pressure. They still ended up covering. So if you had, UCLA, I mean, you didn't cover.
Hey,
but
Jeff, how about that last extra point in the game, man? A&M was gunning for that, knowing they needed to be a tie game, and somebody almost got a fingertip on that one. That would have made it really interesting. The other thing that I thought was I don't want to say I got robbed of it, but I wanted to see A&M with the ball last, which they had it. They got stopped, but they were showing 3 full timeouts for Texas A&M. And all of a sudden, they took one of them away. I'm guessing they just never pulled it down from earlier in the half. But I would have really liked to see how someone would have played that last 3 timeouts, because your only shot at actually winning the football game there, Jeff, was to let them run up the middle and score a touchdown, so it'll be 8 points, and you get the football back with 3 timeouts and about 25 seconds left. Because if you just let them run 3 or 4 plays, they're going to run the clock down. You have nothing, even a chance to look at. But for some reason, they took the 3rd timeout away and changed it to 2 timeouts, and then obviously you just take one day and the game's over anyway. I actually wanted to see how that interesting situation might have played out there.
Yeah, that was also a tough way to kind of lose. I mean, again, you should have been in that position, but you basically the game's called on a spot. I mean, which we can argue he was there, he wasn't there, the quarterback. But yeah, really tough. I mean, and again, another situation, bad week for the Big 12. I mean, Baylor looked terrible. They lose outright to Liberty. Texas gets crushed. West Virginia loses. This game, or I know Texas A&M's in the SEC, but then you did have some good things. Oklahoma beat UTEP, big deal. Oklahoma State beat Tulsa, big deal. But overall, overshadowed. There were some good things that happened in the Big 12 and the SEC. There were some bad ones as well. How about Rosen, though, Donnie? I mean, this is –
I love it. I'm glad, because I want to see – I like competitive football, and I'm glad he came back and won, and maybe it's a story, and but – we'll see. But I was happy with the way Rosen responded. That's how you do it. Because I was clowning him in the first half and UCLA, and I had to give him props at the end of the game.
That same kid I'm talking to you about, the receiver, he said to me, he goes, you might as well give the trophy to him already. I mean, he's that's the kind of game you look back on and say, that's an epic performance, I say, from him. An interesting weekend in college football for sure. We'll look forward to the
by the way, Jeff, last night again, the second game in that one came right down to the end with Will Greer. I don't know if I was more impressed with Will Greer, coming back playing college football, or his wife. Did you watch any of that game or no? They kept putting his wife up every 30 seconds, and for good reason.
I didn't see her. I mean,
number one, I was shocked that he was married at this point. Number two, I mean, everybody's just saying, hey man, Will Greer's a winner in life, Yeah,
I didn't see what she looked like, but I'll have to check her out right now. Jeannie.
She's a former Tampa Bay Buccaneers cheerleader. But again, how is Will Greer? Is he 20? 21, maybe? Jeez.
When you're Will Greer, you do what you want, man. You get these kind of chicks. I'm seeing her now. Definitely a piece of eye candy.
Yeah, I was shocked. Like, I had no idea. And I said, wait a second, that's Will Greer's wife? I almost had to go back like, no, it's probably like somebody, I don't know, his brother's married or his family. But no, he wasn't. They threw up every damn time. Every time Will Greer completed a pass, Jeff, they went right to his wife in the crowd.
Yeah, she is beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, I was impressed, man. Good job,
she's
bro.
like really beautiful. Wow.
No, they showed her up there because remember
quarterbacks down there in West Virginia, get the ball and throw it around with pops. What a beautiful woman. Remember our buddy Brett Musburger.
Yeah, no, but Musburger would have had a heart attack last night on that game. You're right.
Yeah, that was some good stuff. Minecraft going.
I don't know. Yeah, I was having a good time talking. I was daydreaming about fine women football players. But what do we have on Minecraft? What's going on here?
You're just talking about racial shit. I mean,
oh, is it? Yeah, see, come on. Like our mind doesn't even work like that, Jeff. I don't even pick that up when I look in there. You know what I mean? It just goes right over my head.
Donnie, you're talking about people running on the field. I remember streakers fully nude.
Yeah, and talk about people
Thanks.
running on the field. How about last night running on the field? And I know, Jeff, you probably didn't watch a lot of this. Holgerson is, there's two things going to happen. He's going to be banned for life from the NCAA, or he's going to kill a referee. It's going to happen this year. I'm pretty sure of it. Even though all that talk about the offseason, like I calmed down, gave away some of my duties on game day so I can concentrate, not get so upset. He is a maniac on the sideline getting 15-yard penalties. I mean, he can't have that, but it is good from the viewer. But obviously, if you bet West Virginia last night and your team's driving and Holgerson's getting you a 15-yard personal foul on the sideline, you got to be ripping your hairs out, man.
Last thing I want to say about college football, I want to shout out the bounce back of week one after a tough year last year. And I'd like to shout out one of my old favorites, Donnie, Doc Holliday and the Marshall Thundering Herd. Nice win at home, like over Miami of Ohio. Ohio is getting a lot of sharp money. Big bets are coming in. I heard a $50K bet was made on the Redhawks in this one. Shout out to Marshall to come back and get the job done here. A nice win after a tough season last year. Donnie, Doc Holliday did some work in the offseason, bring in.
Yeah, nice game. Hey, man, well-played game. One of those games where I thought would come down to the end, and it did. That's props to Marshall. But we all know Doc Holliday, one thing, you can question his coaching ability, but the guy can recruit. So, I mean, he's always going to have some top-level talent, especially for that type of non-Power 5 team.
Oh, yeah, no, he was they were really impressive. Good stuff from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Donnie, let's get into tonight's game. Obviously,
yes, please.
You got one game on the card, Georgia Tech and Tennessee. Tennessee laying 3, over-under is 55. This game is I mean, I got to tell you, not a great game to watch, I don't think. You have a team in Tennessee who is coming back here with a lot to reload on, and against a team in Tennessee who really wasn't very good last year. They struggled to, kind of do anything relevant. They were losing games they shouldn't have. They were 9-4, but I think there was a lot more as far as in this game with this team that I thought they'd be a lot better. Butch Jones, though, is a guy that I don't like to bet on. I don't trust him. You lose so much this year. Josh Dobbs, Kamara, Derek Barnett, who, by the way, Donnie, all-time leading rusher or all-time leading sacks guy in Tennessee history. I know coming into the year this year, they have some injuries in spring practice. They have a lot going on. And for a team that, had so many question marks last year, I don't know how you lay points at them week one. I think Georgia Tech's in a better situation here. And here's the problem with Georgia Tech, though, too. They have some problems. Dedrick Mills was kicked off the team, their best running back. They're having some issues with personnel as well. But I think Matt Jordan comes into the season. He had a little bit of he had some games last year where he played pretty well in them. The triple option, you don't necessarily have to have, the best athletes in the world. You plug them in, they're going to be able to run this offense. You know that, Donnie. I mean, look at Navy. They plug people in.
It's a system. You're right. Yep.
It's a system thing. You're right. And, I think Matthew Jordan could be the next really good quarterback at Georgia Tech. You had it with Justin Thomas. And you look at Jordan. I mean, read some of the things into him. He's going into grad school, very smart kid, academic All-American. Georgia Tech, a good school, for agriculture and things like that. I like, the kind of the mindset going into this year with this team a little bit more than I like with Tennessee. I just think they're in a better situation here. I don't buy into the whole, because you have tons of week to prepare, you're going to be able to stop the option. Every time I hear that, it never works. You can't stop the option. I've never seen a team stop the option. You try to contain it. You try to plug gaps. You try to limit spacing. But overall, you really can't stop it because there's a lot of, you don't really know. You could be the pitch. You don't know where you're going to go with it. I would go with Georgia Tech. I think in this spot, you take them on the money line. I will say this, though. I won't be betting this game personally. I don't think there's a ton of value in either side here just because of some of the question marks. But overall, I think they're in a little bit better position here, Georgia Tech. They have that offense that I don't like to bet against. I think defensively, one thing they have to do, Donnie, they have eight guys back on defense, 9 on offense. The 8 on defense have to get to the quarterback better. They only had 18 sacks last year on the defensive line. They have to get to the quarterback a little bit more. I think with Dormady in Tennessee, I don't know that they're ready to lay points in game one. For me, Georgia Tech, I think, is a little bit better. I think defensively, one thing they have to do, Donnie, they have eight guys back on defense, 9 on offense. The 8 on defense have to get to the quarterback better. They only had 18 sacks last year on the defensive line. They have to get to the quarterback a little bit more. I think with Dormady in Tennessee, I don't know that they're ready to lay points in game one. For me, I'll go with Georgia Tech. I'll take the 3 points. I think they win this game.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm looking at it from a different angle, from a just an off-season type of perspective. A lot of change-up, obviously, with Tennessee and also Georgia Tech breaking in the new quarterback. Obviously, you did point out that they lost their leading rusher coming into this year. But also with Tennessee, I mean, the one way I like to bet against Georgia Tech, and I'm not even looking at a side, I'm talking about a total in this one, is if you have all off-season or multiple weeks to get ready for the triple option. Not to say you stop it, because it's very hard to stop regardless, because let's face it, Jeff, Tennessee's not going to be able to run the same type of plays and the same, crispness on their offense from their scout team. But just going over the overall, situations that you have to have, their practices for 5 and 6 months, watching exactly what their points have to be, where their keys have to be in this one. 56 to me seems like a high number. And again, Chris opened up at 59.5. Bet Online, Jeff, actually opened up at 63 in this one. So it would have been really nice to jump on that game from the absolute start, yes. But just looking at the game day number, I would lean more of an under here. You don't have, and again, I've seen videos out and people breaking down stuff from last year, and boy, Tennessee can't stop the run. And I mean, nothing is the same, obviously, outside of the system from Georgia Tech and Tennessee coming in this ball game. Major players on both sides have been lost, but the one thing I can count on is you're in a neutral environment. Both these teams have never played in the not a Georgia Dome, I still want to call it that, the Mercedes-Benz Dome. It's a brand new environment, the bright lights of the only game of the day. I think there's going to be some nerves in this game. I would lean towards the under. I see the winner in this game, Jeff, possibly being in the lower 30s, 31, 32 points, maybe high 20s in this one. I would actually lean towards taking an under in this situation just because of all the moving parts. I don't see Georgia Tech lighting it up on Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee is still going to be an SEC defense, and as I said, they should have their P's and Q's lined up in this one, being able to look at that option for over 6 months in this one. And I don't see Tennessee's offense, Jeff, just coming out on the field and going, balls to the wall up and down the field against Georgia Tech. I think with Georgia Tech running the football, the clock's going to be running. I see this game played in the high 20s, maybe lower 30s, 31, 24 type of ball game, something in that range, keeping it just under that 56 number.
Yeah, I like your points there. And I think, I just think when you're looking at games early in the season, you have to look at, A, kind of what these teams bring back, and B, again, who's in a better situation. I don't think Tennessee's in a very good situation coming into the year, especially off a poor year last year. They have a coach who I think we can agree probably isn't the guy that you want running your program. Georgia Tech's a team that brings back a lot of players, a defense that wasn't bad. I mean, they actually overall were pretty good scoring-wise. They'll be better stopping the run. And last year they're decent. I mean, 64th, not bad. Need to get better. But I think overall you're just in a better situation with Georgia Tech here coming into the season, getting points. I think that's the only way to go here.
I can't wait to, Jeff, as we go, deeper in the college football season, week 2, week 3, week 4. I hope people step up their game. And this isn't even a shot at you, Jeff, at all, because the way you break down games is I can't even get angry at you. Because you know me, I don't believe in betting the first, couple weeks of the season. But if I hear statistical breakdowns of these college football teams from the year before and how that pertains to week 1, I want to take a gun to my head, honest to God.
Oh, yeah. Some of the breakdowns are bad.
You have 9 of 11 going on defense, or a completely new offense, new coaches, and you have people still quoting, well, last year, if you look at their games, if they stopped, runners at this, and it has no absolute bearing whatsoever.
Yeah, you definitely have to look at personnel. I mean, clearly.
How can you just quote statistics? Give me a breakdown. I know, Jeff, you're in tune on players, and tell me how that player is going to, evolve in this environment, or how you think it's going to. If you're just giving me last year they were 116th in the run, what does that mean this year?
Well, I think there's a lot of validity to that, especially with a team like Georgia Tech, because their whole defense is intact and back. So I do see validity in that. But when you have a team that loses 9 of 11 starters and you say, wow, they were really good in pass defense last year. Well, I mean, yeah, but they're all gone now, so those stats don't mean anything. As far as for me, Phil Marino, the only issue with the under is both teams can run the ball. I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know that – what does Tennessee have that shows you that they can score points? I mean, they bring back they're a totally new team. Yeah. Their coach is a moron. He has no idea what he's doing. I mean, I don't really – you're kind of putting them on the same level here of Georgia Tech, and I'm not sure that they are. I think,
yes, the whole breakdown part of it. If you give me something I can look forward to, if you cap last night's game, and even if you took UCLA or whatever, and you're you know what, Josh Rosen in this spot, they got this going for him, and that, same thing with Texas A&M, or even if you looked at the West Virginia game, I expect Will Greer to have a good game. the people that are just saying like, man, last year they were like 2-0 versus the SEC. That Jesus, man, I want to kill myself sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, again, and Matthew Jordan played last year, so he has had some reps with this team. And I mean, you can say that the same thing and more for Tennessee. Dormity's barely played at all. So yeah, look, either way, I just think they're in a little bit better position here. But
yeah, Jeff, how about in this game too? A little bit of mind games. I think I was seeing Georgia Tech got to actually practice in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, so Butch is already like out of his mind saying, "I can't, that's just unconscionable." They did that. Is it really that big of a deal? I mean, they're from Atlanta. I mean, come on, man.
Right. Also, one thing I did want to make, I'm trying to remember what I wanted to say. I almost just lost my train of thought here. If I think of it, I'll come back. Oh yeah, Butch Jones won't announce who the quarterback is.
Oh yeah, that's just fantastic too. Yeah, because that we're all waiting with bated breath, and
that's why, like,
yeah, come on.
I often say like there are programs that I wouldn't announce it with, but I got to be honest, I feel like he should announce it. I mean, I think there should be some sort of, some sort of.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, in this game, so he's not announcing the starting quarterback, right? How many times in this opening week do we see, hey, he's my quarterback. You know, he had a great spring practice back in March, and he's our starter. And literally 3 drives into the game, he's already pulled for the backup. Can we at least get some, stability out there on the field and let these guys play through some stuff? I mean, my God. I mean, these are kids. If you pull a grown man out of the game, it's like, all right, I'll go in there and get better. If you pull a kid out of the game, you might have lost him for not only the game, but the season. Let these kids ride out. Unless it's 45-0 and he's thrown 7 interceptions. Game 1, quarter 1, quarter 2. Oh, we got to make that quarterback change. We need a spark. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, I know Florida was quick to do that. They were quick to.
Florida rotated 17 in. I didn't even agree with the move that Michigan made. I'm like, come on, Jim. You rode with this guy last year. You're going to pull him in the first quarter of a big game. Yeah, Michigan, I don't even know what they were doing out there. It's just, I mean, maybe all those videos we saw in the preseason, Jeff, we got a good laugh out of actually who their quarterback's going to be. Maybe it was all right.
And Michigan fans are all happy about the big win. I mean, look, pump your brakes. Spate was horrible in the first half. They have a lot of work to do. I mean, you beat Florida week 1 without 10 players. I mean, congratulations. Donnie and Bigman, is Blunt going to be the premier back? No way.
No, first, nobody runs the ball in the NFL anymore. So I always like to be able to say, well, Blunt, I mean, he's had so many carries last year. Blunt's going to get like 10 carries a game, the same way any NFL back does anymore.
He's going to get the football within the inside the 10-yard line and on 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 1 and that kind of stuff.
If you're expecting, 25 carries a game, 125 yards, the Eagles wouldn't even do that right now if they had Brian Westbrook or Shady McCoy. Doug Peterson's going to throw 3 out of every 4 times. So that's just no longer what's going to take place. Yeah, they actually
threw the most passes in preseason out of
last year Wentz threw the most for any rookie quarterback of all time. Doug's going to throw the ball regardless. So whether or not you have a running back, it's going to be a mix in there, and we'll see what happens. But he's not getting Jeff, I would venture to say he doesn't have a single game this year where he has 20 carries. Would you agree?
Oh, Blunt?
Yeah. I don't think he has one single game where he's like 20 carries.
I think he's like a 7 to 12 carry a game
kind
of guy.
Yep, I agree.
I agree. And he'll get a lot of touchdowns just because the Eagles have a void at that spot. They haven't had a road grader since who?
Yeah, you need it. You're right. And again, the road grader thing, Jeff, the fullback in the NFL, if I'm a coach, why don't you have a fullback or a guy who can line up at fullback? The point of the 3rd and 1 shotgun, giving it to Blunt, isn't that defeating the purpose? Don't you want Blunt running downhill with a lead blocker so he can fall forward and get the first down? That's another day, another time, man.
They want him to be Deuce Staley, except not as high level and as getting as many carries. But we'll see how it goes. I'm sure chat week 1 NFL towards the end of the week. But yeah, for me in this game, I will go with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. I'll take the 3 points here. What are our thoughts on Jay Ajayi?
He's good. That's my thought.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
By the way, everybody out there, going over these now, introducing since it's football season, Jeff and I, Monday through Friday, maybe even Saturday and Sunday if we get the time, we're going to have actually a video that comes out right around mid-afternoon, 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock Eastern time. It's going to be one of our bigger game breakdowns of the night. We haven't had a catchy title. We're still working on that behind the scenes, but Jeff and I will break down at least a game every single day out there, whether it's baseball, might be soccer that day, might be a Thursday night NFL game. just to hit you on, give you some points and topics on, nail down a game, and if you want to have some fun, bet on it. But Jeff and I are really looking forward to that. We're going to do that throughout football season and hopefully longer, each and every day, Monday through Friday, giving you a breakdown. So check out and look for those videos on the horizon starting today.
Yeah, it'll be a nice breakdown video, kind of get some games that we like out there to the masses. Kind
Win
of
a little McDonald's money. I mean, it's not something you're going to, blow out your bankroll with Jeff and Donnie here. It's something that we might be able to dig on. Maybe we can point you in the right direction. We're going to have fun. We'll put some plays out there for you.
Any chance of a draw in the Montenegro game today? I see you have drawn a bet. Well, I did a draw a bet because it's just a protection. I think they'll win the game. I actually have. I'm going to give out those quickly here. I have Montenegro and at the draw a bet option. I think they'll win. They need to win. Romania is a poor side. They're a poor defensive side. I actually have this game at 3-0. Actually, Donnie, get this. I did Montenegro the over 2.5 at plus 400. I think this is a 2-1, 3-0 type of game. I think Montenegro continues to play well in this group. They need points. The Montenegrins are playing good football right now. I also am on Poland first half -1. I think Poland comes out here after a really frustrating defeat, lose 4-0 to Denmark. Poland needs to get back on the wagon here. They're at home in this spot. Should be able to really kind of do what they want to do against Kazakhstan today. I look for Poland to be up 2-0 at half. So Montenegro in the over 2.5. Montenegro draw no bet. I'm also on Poland -1. I also have two other games here, Donnie, which I want to get out. I'm also on Germany win to 0, -160. Little high as far as juice is concerned, but Germany's only allowed 2 goals in 7 qualifying games. They've scored 33 goals, so they're obviously the best team in the world. I don't think that Norway can score in this game. I really don't. Look for Germany to really pound Norway 3-0 today. Donnie, I know you don't know much about soccer, but Germany is very good, very good. Best team in the world by a good margin, if you ask me. Let's go through a comment or two here. Polish power, says Jim Bean. Yep, we're going to be Polish power today. Jeff and I will be on at 6 o'clock for debut. Yeah, that's correct. Donnie's got a show he's created with a couple of big brass at SBR, so we'll be looking at that. As far as any college football, we'll be talking about that as we get more into the week. Keep betting my Euro World Cup stuff. I'm crushing these things, and I put a lot of time into them. So let's cash today in soccer, Donnie, and we will see you all possibly later on the closing line. Again, remember, no late night on campus. That is over. Friday was our last show. We had fun with that. We'll be back at 6 o'clock. Join us for the first episode of the closing line.